Good late night, everybody. This is Rockin' Larry Loughlin with Pleiadian Express Productions, Pleiadian Late Night Talk. Tonight I'm here with a guest by the name of Thomas Ray. I met Thomas the other night and we were talking. We're both from Oregon, and he's got some interesting things that I think everybody's going to want to hear. I found his stories to be fascinating, and he's got a very important message for humanity. Thomas himself is a Pleiadian star child incarnate, and from being from Oregon, it's no surprise. Thomas, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Larry.
I'm glad you're here. You know, and your story really just tells itself. So I'm going to go ahead and let you have the floor and you know, just share your loving message with everybody, and because I sure loved hearing it, and I think that it's something that everybody would appreciate hearing. So you got the floor, my man.
Thank you so much, Larry, and hello, guest. I am Thomas Ray. I have just come with some messages from Pleiades. Last night, my ventures to other galaxies and other places, I was informed that I was to give a message this evening, and my message comes of love, comes from respect, and it comes from the heart. Now, the three things that I have been instilled through my learnings through the Pleiades and the Nordics is three simple things: to be caring, loving, and honest. And the message that they brought to me was to let the folks know that there's a time that we need to step into our now. And our now involves us not living our daily grind of BS, of living only for our Sundays and our Wednesdays, of days of communion with people like of us and sharing our likeness of Christ and God, that we need to look into ourselves further and find that every day, Monday through Sunday, however you want to look at it, needs to be a day that you bring your A game to the court, to your day, to bring your day today. And by doing that means that you have to be caring to everybody, to yourself, to your loved ones, to your enemies, to that boss you can't stand, to the person at work that talks too much. What needs to happen is that with being caring, you need to be loving. And loving means extenuating out your heart, your appreciation, because your appreciation is a part of love. So we need to think about those things coming together, being caring and loving, and extenuating. Just think about those things. And the last, to be honest. The more you deceive yourself with unlovingness and uncaringness, there's no honesty. So you need to remember to bring honesty to yourself and to everybody else. Leave your BS behind. There's no point of forging through life on a lie, on a whim of a lie. Make your day today by being caring, loving, and honest. And what I'm getting to is through these paths, if you actually choose to praise God and love God, there's many gods, by the way, but if you were to be with the Supreme God, and you're going to be at Peter's gate through the levels of heaven, there are 3 levels of heaven. And if you want to join yourself through those 3 levels, you have to make sure that you're being honest and loving and doing God's will. Now, I don't have the scripture in front of me, unfortunately, but what you need to find within yourself is what God's word is. And God's word is to be of a man of like of him. That means you need to be like of him, not just kind of playing it by ear, or on Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and Fridays, and Saturdays, you're just you. No, you need to bring your Wednesday and your Sunday game to the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay? So through those levels is that you're going to have those issues with these demonic forces, because there is a devil, and there are some evil, evil things out there. And they're very, very bad. And that's why you continue to lie, because they keep on getting into your head and telling you, hey, it's okay. They're not going to know you're lying. They're not going to know that you're being spiteful. So what you need to find is you need to find yourself to be loving. Not just on those Sundays that you say, that's a lovely dress, or nice looking suit, buddy. No. You need to bring your A game every day. You're loved every day. To Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And to be caring. Don't just open doors to the Sunday, to the church door. Open the door at the grocery store, at the pharmacy, at the bank. Whenever it might be a chance of you getting to be a cool guy, step up to it and become it and do it. The feelings that you will receive will fill your heart full of love and greatness and happiness. So you will become caring, loving, and honest. So when you do make it through this next life and you go through the 3 levels of heaven, that you're not going to be afraid through those darkened points to the first 2 levels before you meet God, your Maker. Before you meet Him, there are some seriously hardships that you have to endure to see if you are a man of Christ, a man of God, to be of like of Him. Because when you sit before Him, He's going to grill you, and He's going to put you to the fire and say, you're not like of me. You're only like of me when it's convenient. And I understand this is the 21st century, and conveniences come to a TV, dinner, drive-through, BS. Put it to the side. Sit down, commune. Put a hand in hand in prayer, and give thanks for what you have every moment. Every night when you put your head to sleep, cross your hands and give thanks for what you have. And by being thankful, showing that you're thankful. Don't just say it, be it, act it, become it. Become caring, loving, and honest. Now myself, through my life, I grew up in a very tyrannical, very disarray home of a single-parent mom. And it's a story that we've all seen on A&E or the Women's Lifetime Network, or back in my day, back on the Sunday night Disney movie, maybe, okay?
True.
But what it is the reality of what it taught me of how to deal with an abusive person that didn't know how to love or care or how to be honest. Because her drug use and her alcohol abuse was her truth serums. But I was strong, and I saw through her lying eyes that I would become a greater person by knowing her evil. And that's what would keep me away from the evil, by not being a person that would use drugs or alcohol for my scapegoats of life. But I had strength through my own family and through God, because I had a very wonderful grandma that taught me how to be forgiving. And through those paths, by the age of 7, I had my first abduction. And everybody laughed. And I didn't care. So I knew these guys. These guys were my best friends. And I didn't know when I had friends that even were like of this. And we're talking Zeta Reticulates, folks. The grays. And there are mixed grays, too. There are half-gen grays, the ones that look like human in some ways, that have gray features. There are some that look more reptilian, as you would think, or you've heard, that look half-human. There are such things as fairies, Pegasus, unicorns. It's unfortunate that Disney's exploited it to an adolescent mindset to believe, but it's a reality, because we're formed into this reality of disillusion, of a big old fraud. So put yourself back, and put yourself back in your shoes of 7 years old. And I found myself with my family, and with my mother, I should say, just learning the hardships of life. And through a walking through the woods of life, I should say, because my mother became a botanist and cleaned her life up and met a man that had the same dreams as she did. They put me through the woods, and on a woods trip, I got to meet these people one-on-one. And the Pleiades came to me with peacefulness. They came to me with love. And they felt that I was special enough that I could be let known of these things of life, because they saw my innocence. Because I saw the people around me that were tyrannical, that were do nothing but bring me down. But I stood above them because I was okay with them being a messed up individual. Because I had God on my side as a young child. I could pray for them and make them better. So I thought. But it worked because my mother did become sobriety. And so there is something good of the situation. But through my ventures with the Pleiades is that they've shown me every single planet in this Milky Way and beyond, very much far beyond. And be known that every planet that we know in our solar system is habited. It has people who live there. They may not look like us, and they may not live on this surface. You know, there's a lot of these planets that are just too far away to live on the surface, like a Pluto. It's too cold. It's too far away from the sun. You know? But what I'm saying is that they brought to me the truth, and I've waited for a very long time to have a platform like of this to bring the messages of the Pleiades and what the Nordics have to, set forth for us. We need to come back to our realities and quit eating the foods that are processed and start putting some hard labor into your side yard and growing your own food and eating nutrients and not something that's been crammed full of ingredients of chemicals. Put down the soda pop. Put down your TV dinner. Put down your Big Mac. Put down your double cheese. I don't care how cheap it was, that you can eat cheaper on some fast food junk than it would be to sit down and have a good organic, or what they call organic, meal. A meal that's wholesome, that will provide nutrients for your body. That's why we have cancer. That's why we have diseases. That's why we have chronic problems like fibromyalgia or IBS or tendinitis or arthritis, any of these negatives. And that's why we've allowed ourselves to have the excuses of life of the apostrophe T's. Oh, I can't, or I shouldn't, or I won't. Those need to go away. The T's are worthless because you should be moving through and being caring, loving, and honest. That you will do things, that you want to do things, because it brings you greatness. Because by the calluses of your hands, you will have your fruits come from the earth and give you nutrients and give you strength. And at the same time, it'll give you a piece of little respect that goes, hey, I did that. And I'm providing for myself and my loved ones. That's what you need to worry about. That's the importance of life, is starting from the root, from where you stand, and how you extenuate your tree limbs and your boughs. Whether or not your fruits come from children, friends, family, whoever it may be. But let your roots grab hold of this earth and let the water just run it through your whole body, through your whole roots, to make your gratefulness. These big leaves, these big solar panel leaves, they're going to feed you this big, beautiful tree. And remember that you're a beautiful, wonderful person. And becoming that and believing that. And not being stuck on Dr. Phil says that I'm an idiot because I married some jackass. Or that you're on the doctors because you found out you're allergic to, chocolate. Or, you're on the doctors because you have a small wiener. All that doesn't matter. It's all there to dumb you down, to make you feel like you're not competent. And you are very competent because you're a beautiful, wonderful person that's caring, loving, and honest. But you have to become that. You, as yourself, live for I. And use your I as yourself and put it to work. The more you set it out, the less the greatness is not spread, and the less gets done, and the muscle gets tighter. Break free. Don't let this government, this state government, this big brother, this tyrannical boss, or this pushy, underappreciated whatever that's putting you through your ringer of life. Stand tall. Put your chin up. Just like your grandparent used to say maybe, or your dad. Keep your chin up, young man. Keep your chin up, young lady. Walk straight. Walk proud. Be proud of who you are. See, God put something in our lives. He put his son for us. And his son comes up every morning and goes down every night. That is our Son of God. God put that son there because if we didn't have a son, we wouldn't have life. Nothing would grow. Nothing would survive. It'd just be a big, dark, black hole. So give praise for that big sun that comes up every day. Be thankful that he's given us that nurturingness, that love. Every day he does that for us. That sun will never spite us. It's there to love us and take care of us and bring us what we need. So embrace it and use it to your advantage by being caring, loving, and honest, by becoming a beautiful, wonderful person. One thing the Pleiades always told me as a young child of doubt, because I had plenty of doubt, it's many junctures, but they always said there was move through. And even as a young kid, I didn't understand that. Move through. But as an adult, and as a young adult, when I caught on to this, I understood it. That means I need to stand up and I need to become accountable. That means I need to love everybody that I know. I need to love Larry, you, the audience, my neighbors, who checks out my groceries at the store, to wherever it is I might be in my life. That's where I need to be going through. I need to become, just like of you, become. Doesn't mean pick up a hobby that makes you, go to the fair and, sell doilies. If that's what you're, intrigued to do, then do it. But what it means is that you just need to come through and become for yourself so you can appreciate for who you are. And then you get the luxury of having people around you that will appreciate what you have to offer because it's a greatness that you possess. I get so lost on these because I myself no longer have doubts. I have lived through having a brain tumor that covered 83% of my brain and was told, hey, we're sorry, but this is not going to be good. You're not going to make it through life. You're going to pass away. You're not going to make it. Say goodbye to your friends and family, Make preparations for your passing. And I got determined. I got mad and said, I'm going to live longer than you, buddy. I'm going to go to your kid's funeral. I'm going to go to your grandkid's funeral. I'm going to be here forever. And I moved through and I survived it. I've been brain-free cancer for over 15 years. 15 years when I was given only a 6-month term. And then back in 2007, I was diagnosed with stages 4 and 5 colon cancer. It was terminal. I was told I wasn't going to live more than a month. I was going to be done for. I'm a big person. And we'll just put it this way. I got down to 130 pounds. I weighed 130 pounds at birth, folks. So that tells you how big of a guy I am. And you know what? I'm here still today. 2007 has came and gone. That month has came and gone. I'm back up to my normal weight, and I'm moving through. But see, everybody has their own faults, and I have faults. Problem is I love too much, and I feel too much. And now I have a disease called broken heart disease. And now I have a heart condition. But what's amazing is I'm blowing the doors off all these cardiologists because I'm doing better than they've ever expected. And that's because I love myself, because I'm caring, I'm loving, and I'm honest. And because I'm a beautiful, wonderful man. And I have a message, and that message is to be given to you folks so you can embrace these thoughts and put them to use. Don't throw them away. Don't put them in the recycling bin. Regurgitate the message. Bring it back. Sit down at lunch and tell somebody that you know is having a hard day that they're a beautiful, wonderful person. Tell as many people you can every day that they're a beautiful, wonderful person. And men, if you tell your wife that, she'll really appreciate it, and you never know what kind of surprises of greatness you might get from that. Women just love to be told they're beautiful. and they're wonderful. The message is simple. Just become. Become. Don't be like the rest. Don't become a carbon copy, a replica. Become the you, the I. The I is very, very important. It's the only one you got, buddy. It's the only one you got is I. Nobody else can be I but you. So become it. And show it off. Wear it around like a big old gold star on that chart at school. Walking around like you got a trophy because you got first prize. Walk around because you got on your valedictorian gown because you're at the top of the class. Walk around because it's on your mantle because you live in a nice house, drive a nice car, have a great job because you know that you've done a great job. Because you know that you've done everything you can do for being the person you are, who you are as a human. And that's being caring, loving, and honest. By becoming a beautiful, wonderful human. Not sure what else you want me to say, Larry.
That's really amazing. It's, you know, I was amazed when we talked the other night, you know, the stories that you had told me about growing up and your encounters and your abductions and stuff like that. And tonight was the first I'd ever heard of her, you know, heard you mention any of your feelings like this. And this is just, I'm kind of in awe, man. It's really great that you shared this. Yeah, I'm really taken back, and like I feel nothing but love, and I'm very grateful for what you've had to say and everything like that. And you know, here I was like, you know, your story in itself, besides this very important ultimate message here, which is the most important, your story, you know, was riveting in itself, and then this just topped it. You have had quite the life, and wow, you couldn't even design a movie like that. It's incredible. It's amazing. You know, I was wondering maybe like also too if you'd be willing to share a little bit of your thoughts, like you shared with me about, you know, Mars was a good example. I know, you know, it's not as important as this what we're talking about for humanity, but what you shared with me about, you know, I shared with you what I thought about Mars, and you know, you shared with me about. You really went into more detail than I ever could about really what, you know, that it's not a red planet, that there is still civilization up there, that it's this whole big control thing, you know. And I'm just very appreciative to have heard your story, man. And, you know, the situation when you were 7, you know, when you were younger in the woods and had that situation happen with you. And it was just incredible, man. And, you know, I mean, if there's anything more you'd like to say, or you know, any more of that you'd like to share, like Mars, you know, what you like your take on Mars. You know, you mentioned the planets.
Mars, Larry.
And then maybe on.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Well, with Mars, it's pretty simple. It's just about us, unfortunately, allowing our government, the people that we've elected, supposedly, to control how we view and live life. So, if you want to believe that it's a planet that's red, that's fine. You can believe that. I am not going to take anything away from that. Here to sell you anything. The reality is that they just put screens on the camera that change the color of it, the hue of it. With it being red in the skies, we would see that's just because of a simple reflections off the moon and the earth from the sun. Kind of like when we watch these blood moons that are happening right now. There's going to be 4 of them. We've already seen 1 of them. We have 3 more to go. And by the time we get to the 3rd one, every single planet in our universe that we know of will become an exact alignment, the chakra. And when those align, that's when the greatness is going to come down. That's when the whole universe combines itself to become one. And our bodies will become in alignment. But you have to believe. If you don't believe, then you will perish and fall to the wayside. That's a reality, because Satan will take over your soul and he'll put you through hell. That's just a straight up reality. And I know this only from the teachings that I've been given. Like as Larry has mentioned already, one of my first if you want to call it this, of the abduction. I don't call them those. I call them visits, and I call them rides in the sky. But my first ride in the sky, they asked me where I wanted to go. And I was eager. I was a young child. I was very eager. I was like, man, I want to check out this whole dinosaur situation. I want to see these dinosaurs. I mean, I've always heard about them. And it seemed like in no time at all, through this big window on the side of the craft, we were in these, right above the tree line, basically, a couple 100 feet in the sky, and there was dinosaurs. And I was rather taken off by it. I just could not believe it, but I was so enthralled that it wasn't disbelievable. I totally believed it because I was seeing it with my own eyes. I wasn't being deceived by like a TV or a story from somebody that has a long history of yarn threading or yarning. Whole story reconstructed for his benefit. But I mean, I've been very fortunate to be on this planet, over 100 million years ago. And you have to remember that planet Earth is 16 billion years old. We're on our 4th moon. Our moon is a satellite. It's there for the Zeta Reticulates and a couple other species that live there. And it's a very, very busy planet, to be exact. The moon that's why we don't go back to the moon. It's very much taken, and it's not taken by Russia or the Chinese either. And it's their own species lives there, a couple of them. But back to the dinosaurs, I was very fortunate to be able to get back on the ground and walk with my guide, my Pleiadian guide, and he took me straight up to a T-Rex. And they were very nice to me because I came in peace, and I was very fortunate to be able to pet them and hang out with them. I even got a ride on a pterodactyl's back, which I still remember to this day like it was yesterday. It was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. Feeling my then hair be blown through and up in the air with this pterodactyl and making dive bombs and soaring high into the sky and going through valleys. And when he brought me back down, there was a whole mountain of other dinosaurs that had shown up, and different types of reptilians and birds and platypuses and whatever they were. Every different kind of Mesozoic animal was available that day, it seemed. And I got to meet them all. And consciously I get to speak with them because the best way to communicate is through your subconscious, because that's called reality. Our mouth is the guiding force of lies. And so if you can learn to use telepathy and use your heart and your soul and your mind, then you'll be set for life. And if you use your face to be your PowerPoint presentation, I'm sorry, but you need to shut it down because it's gonna have a forked tongue and lead you astray. And so don't allow the brain to make your decisions. Allow your heart and soul to make your decisions. And
absolutely.
When you're leading a life of caring, loving, and honesty, you will learn that the best words are unspoken. That's not just a cliche. It's a reality. And when you put yourself around people that are like-minded like you, you will find yourself where you'll never have to open your mouth again, but only to drink and eat. And so, when you find yourselves in your gloom or your dooms, and you want to just yell it out to the world, that's where you're failing, because it's nobody else's fault but your own. So don't let your mind get a hold of your feet, and don't let your mind get a hold of your heart. Don't let your mind get a hold of your soul. It's the only ones you have. So allow your feet be the stewards, and your soul lead through its heart. And let your heart determine your path, and let your soul be the guiding point that nurtures your heart. Let the feet just be steered by the emotion of greatness that you have. That's what it all amounts to. There are so many things in life that are so simple, but we, as humans, make it so very difficult. Put down your guards. It doesn't matter how ugly you are. It doesn't matter how pretty you are. because we all pee, poop, and eat and drink all the same. We still all wipe our butts too. We all pick our noses too. I don't care how pretty you are, you still pick your nose, okay? We're all at fault for something silly, stupid. We're all the same. We're all one of the same. We need to quit pointing out everybody's imperfections or their perfections and look at them as being of like-mindedness, because we're all pretty much the same. We may have a little bit of different ideas conjured up, but we all have the same aspirations, and that's to be loved and to be cared for, and to be nurtured, to be
Absolutely.
sought after. So become that. Become that available prime rib cut. No matter how stinking ugly or pimply or short or fat or tall or whatever it is that makes you, socially an outcast, make it become your new beauty. Stand in front of your mirror every morning and look at yourself in that mirror, and look yourself dead in the eyes, and look yourself down, up and down, and say, hey, how you doing, beautiful? You look great today. I love you. Learn to love yourself. Nobody can love you more than your own self.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, your words are really inspiring and everything. And I thought it was real interesting when we were talking the other night about some experiences we'd had in life, and you were mentioning one of your one of your career, one of your career positions, you were working at a radio station. And I thought it really told the tale, the story that you had told me about how you found how the media really was, and how news and disinformation is really controlled. And it was really interesting to hear it from a frontline perspective like that. And I think if we've touched on a lot tonight, but just on a side note, would you be willing to go over just that real quick again, as far as like what went down when you'd report the news, and you'd get it over the wire back then, of course, because we didn't have the internet. It'd come over the the typewriter, and what you encountered when you saw that, and what you ended up finding out from your bosses and people that you had worked with. If you could just touch on that, that would be great, man, because I think it would tell a lot.
That sounds good. Well, in my younger days, when I had hair, I got myself into radio. I grew up in the 1980s, and I really wanted to be a part of that big thing Casey Kasem had. I loved his voice, loved his production. I always wanted to be just like of him. And in fact, when I was a kid, I used to dub records, vinyl. I don't know if everybody knows what a record or vinyl is, but I would transfer vinyl to tape. And tape to tape. And if you know what a tape is, it's called a cassette tape. It's what they had before CDs.
Yes.
I would make these tapes, and my mom would give me a lot of help, because she always said that I'm going to be a heartbreaker, because I was a Kenny G and a Michael Bolton fan. And my hard rock and roll was really listening to the news, so I was a real big softie. Still am. But nevertheless, as I had these dreams of becoming a radio DJ, and in my bedroom I would make these tapes, and I would even put my own commercials in and use my own name as the DJ and what song was coming up. And so I used that experience of teaching myself to be a DJ to when I went to college. I decided I'm going to take a mass communications course, and I signed up for it and told the college I wanted to become a radio intern. So they got it all lined up, and I got myself into a radio station, and it happened to be a station I really wanted to work at, too. I was very fortunate. And kind of the chase is that I am in the DJ booth with another jock, and he's like, hey, can you get the news ready for me? I'm like, yeah. So I get myself together, and I get into the production room, and a production room is where you cut commercials, and cutting commercial means that you go in and you recite a commercial and you put it onto a reel like a cassette tape. I'm talking vintage right now, so excuse me.
Messier.
Fast. But so I go into the media room, and I get the paperwork for the news. And when I get this bundle, this paperwork, these pages are there's a bunch of pages, and there's like 90% of the words on each page are blacked out. By being the new guy, I thought that I got punked. I thought that someone was playing a joke on me. So I go into the jock I was working with, and I throw the papers down on the board, and I say, hey, what's up with the joke like this? How am I supposed to write a story about the news if there's no news to be written on here? And he kind of laughs. He's like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. I mean, how am I supposed to do this when you don't give me the news? He's like, oh, well, you don't know yet? And I said, no, what? He's like, well, can you tell me what news is? And I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, tell me the definition of news. So here I'm in college, Mr. Smart Guy. I'm like, yeah, news is a place where they put all these ideas together of how they're going to tell you the story about what happened that day. And it's just the accounts of what happened, and they're going to tell you how it's going. And he looked at me and laughed, and I'm like, jeez, why are you laughing? He's like, because that's not what news is. And I said, well, what is news? And he says, it's an interpretation of the events that occur. That's what news is. Well, being young and watching TV and seeing the news, I didn't really put the two together at all. I'm like, I don't really understand this. He's like, well, you need to go talk to our station manager. I'm not going to mention his name because he's kind of somebody that a lot of people know who he is.
Yes, in Oregon you would.
Yes, in Oregon, yeah, he's actually pretty well known. He's been a voice for many different stations and different events. And so I go over to his office, and I almost said his name. I go over to his office, and I go in there, and I got my media, my news, and I go in there, and I'm like, hey, such and such, I came in here because Bill asked me to come and talk to you because I have a misunderstanding about how I'm supposed to write the news. He's like, you haven't been briefed yet about how to write the news? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, I got this paperwork from the bundle, and I said, now the words on here are blacked out. I said, I don't know how I'm supposed to even do any of this with a paper that's all blacked out. He laughs at me and tells me to shut his door. Well, don't understand the door shutting, but I do after I sit down. He asked me, he's like, can you tell me the definition of news? I said, Bill just asked me this question, and he told me I was wrong. He's like, well, what is it? I said, well, it's gathering the information of what's happened and retelling it back to the people. And he's like, yeah, well, you're wrong. That's completely wrong. And I said, wow, well, then what is news? And he says, news is an interpretation of the events occurred. And I said, an interpretation. Can you help articulate what you mean on that? What do you mean? Elaborate. He's like, okay, well, here, give me your news. And he's like, here, what you got to do is you got to take these key words and you got to make news out of it. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, well, sure it does. He's like, just use these compound words and make them into a compound sentence. And I failed. He grabbed the paper and he made a news report out of 16 words that had 4 paragraphs. Okay? 16 words and 4 paragraphs. We all know that a common paragraph has 6 to 8 sentences. So that if you understand with 4 paragraphs, he had 16 words to work with, and he made news. Because he interpreted what this news was and made it into what it was. He then asked me, he's like, do you know what media is? I said, that's just the production of what news is. It's the outlet where it comes from that goes through the news. He laughed at me again. He says, no, that's not what media is. Media is the direct... How can I say this the best way of saying it? Media is the outlet of the interpretation of the news.
Perfect. Perfect.
What I've learned in life is that what you see on TV, the papers, is a bunch of BS. And throughout my time at that station, I had learned about, prior to this, I had already had a bad habit at that time, and I'd have a smoke back behind the radio station. And there would be a person that would show up late at night about 3:30 in the morning and drop off a media bundle inside of our locked box. And that was also discussed at the same time that the news and media intervention to me. And so what it was is that person that was dropping that stuff up was a federal government FCC worker dropping up our media. So that's how I learned about, news and media and radio. And through my life, I've worked in TV as well. I used to be a camera operator, and I've also done some producing and some co-producing, editing, and so I've done my share of multimedia. Multimedia. There we go.
Thomas, that reminds me of, the way you described that. I mean, I almost had to remind myself you were in the United States. That sounds like probably how the Soviet Union would do their news broadcast back then. Apparently we were too.
According to this person, the station manager, and he's significantly older than I am, this is how it's always been, according to him, because I asked him lots of questions after the situation happened, because I worked at the station for a while. And we had plenty of times that I would sit in his office before I got on air, and we'd have extensive talks about the funny things that he experienced, like when Mount St. Helens blew. I mean, the first reports through the valley, anything south of Salem, was that there was an earthquake, and it caused the volcano to go off. But we all know that's not what happened. The volcano just went off. But by the news standard, by the time it got to Salem, it was an earthquake that had happened. And so he talked about how he had to make the news sound like the news that was coming out of Vancouver and Seattle and Portland, because he didn't have an interpretation to bounce it off of. And so,
yeah, exactly. And probably what Cronkite and Rather were feeding everybody back in New York. It's just this. Yeah, I mean, my God, man. I mean, it just doesn't end, and a lie upon a lie, huh?
Well, see, the problem is that us as humans have digested so much BS in our body, so many chemicals, that it's dumbed us down. And I'm gonna go ahead and throw myself in the mix. I'm not gonna call you all a bunch of idiots, because I'll be the idiot with you. But we're all a bunch of idiots because we keep on eating the same crap, and we keep on drinking the same crap with the fluoride or the barium or the aluminum phosphates, even with a phosphate in it. I encourage people as well. I take medications for my heart. Every one of my medications is saline based. Encourage your doctor to give you medications that are saline. And if you have cancer, read a book called The 99-Cent Cure to Cancer. Use hydrogen peroxide. The Asians have been doing it forever. That's why they don't have epidemics of cancer, my friends. And if you want to get the truth, use marijuana seeds too if you got cancer. Grind up these marijuana seeds, put them in a salad, put them on whatever you're eating, put them in some liquid that you're drinking, because you need to promote red and white blood cells, because cancer cannot survive with oxygen. And by the way, everybody, that's how I got rid of my brain tumor, and that's exactly how I got rid of my colon cancer, was hydrogen peroxide and marijuana seeds. So I didn't go through chemo. I didn't go through radiation. I did it myself, because I'm a big-time jerk, and I insist that I find out where things derivative from and what they're doing to me. And that's what you need to become. You need to get really pissed off, and you need to put your big boy pants on or your big girl pants on, and put your hat on tight and button your shirt up, because it's going to be a cold ride maybe in some spots, and you need to fight back, and you need to start becoming informative and learning that they're spraying shit in the sky on us. They're putting stuff on our food, our medications. Remember what I said? If you're taking medications, make sure they're saline-based. And I don't care if it makes your pharmacy mad that they have to look high and low for that replacement for that medication. Who cares? Let them do their job. That's why they get paid $18 to $28 an hour to do a job, a service for us that pays their bill, okay? People, just like our government, just like the police, don't let the police or Big Brother be bullies to us. Remember your Constitution. If you don't know what your Constitution is, go get a copy of it. Learn about it. You have rights. As humans, as Americans, we have rights. And you're all a bunch of lazies because you're all not paying attention to how our lives are changing. How Mr. Obama has over 60,000 executive orders that he's put through. 60,000. 60,000. That's a big number. Okay? It's huge. There are almost 50% of our Constitution is suspended right now because of it. Yeah, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, this Thomas guy's crazy. My TV didn't tell me that, so it can't be true. I didn't read my paper, so it must not be true. Yeah, well, that means you
I didn't know, so it's not true.
investigate because there's lots of good information on the net, and I don't care what people say. Oh, you can't believe everything that's on the internet. Well, there are some very good, credible sites that document everything the White House does. Even NBC, CBS, all these big corporate places, they have other outlets that seep out this information to us, especially like after 9/11. 9/11 became the Patriot Act, that first started ruining American life. And that was 3,400 pages long, the Patriot Act was.
What a dark period.
We've been under martial law since then. Ever since Hurricane Katrina, we've been under martial law. And people say,
we
oh,
really
no.
have.
We have.
And even since we've been locked into a cold civil war. Yeah, it's just a lie upon a lie. And what a dark period in our history, like you're mentioning, when that happened, that Patriot Act. And that whole time was really a dark part of our history that we can either get right with and move on, or we can just sulk in it and fall.